We have many different animals that live in the rainforest. The ones that most visitors are likely to see would include our lyrebirds, which are kind of our iconic species here. They're usually found on the rainforest floor, where they're scratching away looking for food. A few other animals that we have here that people will often see, especially when the weather is warmer, would be reptiles. So, for example, I just saw a water dragon running through the forest. They're very common here. Diamond pythons, just a few metres from where we're sitting now. Last summer, there was a really big diamond python just on one of the rails. I was guiding a group of school kids here, so they were able to see the diamond python up close. We also get red-bellied black snakes, tiger snakes, but they're less common. The diamond python is something we see pretty often. Other animals that live here but we're less likely to see would be our marsupials, especially marsupials like our possums, ringtail possums, brush-tailed possums. They tend to be nocturnal, and so we don't tend to see them very often unless we're here in the night for some reason. Another one is sugar glider, is a very common animal here, and in the night, if you're spotlighting here, you can see them, or you can often hear them. They have a little barking call. There is a tremendous range of vegetation here. We're in a subtropical rainforest, which is a highly biodiverse habitat. So we have many, many hundreds of species of plants here. I'll give you an example. Ferns, there are 90 different species of fern here that have been identified, and that represents something like 3/4 of all the fern species that you will find in New South Wales. They are found here in this little area. It's only 400 hectares, but we have 90 different species of ferns. The most obvious plants we have here are the trees, and some of our trees grow to really gigantic size in the rainforest. So, for example, red cedar trees. It's a classic rainforest tree of Eastern Australia. We also have strangler figs, which is a type of fig tree that actually grows on top of another tree from a seed that gets deposited in the droppings of animals. So that's another tree that can live for many, many centuries and grow to enormous size. And on top of those trees, you'll often see lots of ferns. So ferns grow on the trees, on the rocks, and we get vines, many vines that find their way up the trunks of those rainforest trees. So tremendous diversity of plants. Rainforests are important for a number of reasons. The fact that we have a rainforest left at all is a bit of a miracle, really, considering how heavily these forests were logged, or also they were just felled to make way for housing, for farms and so forth. So every bit of rainforest we have now is very precious because it's a remnant of something that was a much bigger ecosystem. There was rainforest covering a tremendous area of the Illawarra a couple of hundred years ago, and it's almost all gone. So it's really important to keep these places. They're a beautiful place for people to come and visit. They are a repository of biodiversity. As I said before, there are many, many different species that live here that can't live anywhere else. Really important to maintain these places to protect that biodiversity. There are endangered species that live here, so we need a habitat like this so those endangered species will survive. Without a place like this, many species will just disappear. They can't live outside of a rainforest habitat. The rainforests also they're a tourist attraction. So in a place like this, we get about 100,000 visitors a year coming to visit, and there's knock-on economic effects in the whole region to all those people coming to visit a place like this. And rainforests also potentially are a repository of valuable plants and so forth. Could be medicines, could be found in all of this amazing diversity of plant life here. All those reasons rainforests are important. The waterfall and the river more generally is very important in the rainforest. At its most fundamental level, the water that runs down that river and has created the waterfall, it has created the whole valley. It's carved the valley that we're in out of the rock that runs from the top of the Illawarra escarpment down to where we are now. There's a system of sandstone and volcanic rock, and the river has carved out a very steep valley. and created waterfalls on the way down. And because it has carved that valley out of that Illawarra escarpment, it's created this lovely little pocket that the rainforest can survive in, because rainforests like this need shelter, and that river has created a sheltered environment for the rainforest to develop. Plus, that water all coming down here helps to water the rainforest. Rainforests obviously need a lot of moisture. A lot of that will fall from the sky, but the river is also providing a lot of that moisture so the plants can draw that water up through their roots. We have two basic tracks here that the public has access to. We have what we call the Rainforest Loop Walk, which it runs along the river and then up across the river, up the slope, and then back down to our visitor centre. It's about a 45-minute to 1 hour walk. From the top of that loop walk runs our waterfall track, and that is a one-way up, one-way back to our upper falls. You can also get a view of the lower falls from up there. And that's probably at another hour. So it's roughly 2 hours comfortable walking here to get around the loop track and also get yourself up and back to the waterfall. This is a very special place. If you haven't been here before, I would recommend coming in for a visit so you can appreciate the spectacular scenery here, the beautiful biodiversity, and maybe get a sense of how important it is to protect places like this for the future, that we don't lose this amazing natural resource that we have.